How's it going, everybody? And welcome to the Wrestling is Awesome podcast with your host, Alec Pecano, and co host, Bradley Walker. We are part of the NGSE Sports Network, ngscsports.com. On tonight's show, we will be going over our review of the Royal Rumble, Monday Night Raw, NXT, Friday Night SmackDown, and AEW Dynamite. And we're first going to start with, we normally start with the Raw review. But we're going to start with the Royal Rumble because let's just say it was an interesting Rumble. And there was an interesting spot in the Rumble. First of all, let's talk about the Women's Rumble. Why does Charlotte just get a free pass to win the Rumble?
Well, and you're talking to somebody, but that doesn't. I'm not really a big fan of hers.
Neither am I.
She gets a lot of benefits, Bud, because of who her dad was. And that's
which is sad. I'm sorry, but yes.
But I really honestly believe that she gets a lot of pull or clout because of who her dad is or was. Let's just say is, because he's not dead. Ric Flair's still alive. Is. But no, I agree with you. I was pretty upset about that when I watched the highlights. Again, I was doing a 5K, so I wasn't able to watch it live. But
neither was I, but I watched it the other day.
Yeah, I like that there were two surprise in the Women's Royal Rumble that I like. And I think me and you both sat here last week and said, "Oh,
we talked about one of them, which was Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, she's not coming back." And I go on and watch the highlights, and you go on YouTube and watch all of the entries one by one, and they get to 21, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, what is she doing here? Like, she wasn't supposed to come back." And Michael Cole even said that on commentary. He's like, "The internet told me she wasn't supposed to come back." It's good to see Alexa's back in all reality.
And here's what we're going to say. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't always listen to the dirt sheets.
Yep, true.
Sometimes they lie.
And sometimes they may leak something that is not true. They may say, "Yep, this person's not coming back," and they come back. So,
and it's Triple H running the show now, not Vince.
Correct.
And it's Triple H's show. He can decide what he wants to do, when he wants to do it. Mm-hmm. And then Nikki Bella coming back, I thought that was
the other one, Bud. That was a shock to me too. And when did she get inducted into the Hall of Fame? I didn't even know she was a Hall of Famer. When did she get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
A few years back. I don't remember the exact year, but I know her and her sister were both inducted.
Okay, I got you. Okay. Because I'm like, does she have the pedigree to be in the Hall of Fame?
They got put in as a tag team.
I got you. Okay. No, I mean, that's understandable. Like I said, if she had gone in as a singles competitor, I'm like,
you know what? They might, in a couple of years, they might put her in as a singles. So I don't care for the Women's Royal Rumble winner, which was Charlotte. Now we can get to the men's, and I guess that we're not going to get Roman versus Seth. We're not going to get CM Punk versus Seth. We're going to get all three in a match.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned last week how I'm sick and tired of Seth being a little crybaby. Did you get to see the highlight where he double stomped?
Yeah, Roman Reigns. Yeah, I saw that after he was eliminated. He curb stomped him once off the ring steps, or on the ring steps. He did on the floor first, then the ring steps. And then standing there, CM Punk was there too, standing there watching it all. Then him and Seth went after each other. And when we go through our Raw review, that's another topic we can touch on too. but I mean, those two had to be
They
separated.
do not
No,
like each other.
I don't-
It's clearly obvious.
I honestly believe, Bud, too. I don't think it's just in the ring. I think it's outside. I don't think they like each other as individuals. I don't know if it's maybe it's a character thing, but I don't think they like each other outside of the ring either. In my opinion, I could be wrong.
I don't either. I agree with you. I don't think they do either. Honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Seth still holds a big vendetta against Roman for the monster that Seth created.
Well, I did like the fact that they got together, said words to each other. I was watching a highlight thing about that. I think Roman goes, "Don't shake your head at me, buddy," or something like that. And then Seth said something back to him, and then they poked each other, and then, all, broke loose and so on and so forth. But yeah, it was nice to see the two of them get together. And that's probably going to be a future match between the two of them because they really haven't hashed that rivalry out yet since
they haven't.
Seth hit him in the back
since the Rumble a couple years ago when Seth lost to Roman.
Yeah,
and I watched that match live. Seth was in Roman's head. Seth came out with the Shield attire on, Shield theme.
Well, and if you think back, but not only did he hit him in the back with the chair, he also screwed him at WrestleMania, Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. Right, that match.
Yep, the heist of the century.
Pisses me off that he waited until the end of that match.
Till both guys were down.
And that match was so good. Like that match was like A++. And he comes down there, cashes in his Money in the Bank contract, and the whole match goes to you-know-what, and he wins. He walks out of Royal Rumble, or out of WrestleMania with the belts. I'm like, what is that? Like, why would you book that? But again, that was Vince.
Yeah, and Vince is Vince. But back to the Rumble. So anyway, there's that spot. And then I think I called one of the entrants a couple weeks back. Wish we could do a flashback. When I said surprise entrance in the Rumble, I said Joe Hendry.
He's a fan favorite too.
I think he got the loudest pop out of everybody.
Yeah, I agree. Because he's
other than Cena.
He's the TNA champion, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I have a funny feeling, but it won't be very long
before he's fully on WWE. Like
correct.
Jordan Grace.
He's gonna be in a storyline somewhat in the near future because again, the pop that he got.
You know what? I think he's from like the UK or somewhere over there. Why not, when he loses the TNA title, have him come over to WWE and feud with a guy that's always angry? I think you know who I'm referencing.
Guy that's always angry? Kevin Owens?
No. That's from Ayr, Scotland.
Sheamus?
Nope. He was friends with Sheamus at one point. And every time he loses, he blames it on everybody else except for himself.
Blames on everybody else.
And he was on Raw, but now there's talk he's going over to SmackDown.
I'm not sure, but
Scottish psychopath.
Oh, okay.
Which we can get into that in a second. He had another little incident at the Rumble with LA Knight.
Yes.
And apparently now they're going to move him over to SmackDown so they can have a match, maybe at Mania or Elimination Chamber. I'm sorry, Drew. You weren't going to win the Rumble at all.
Yeah, I guess he wasn't too happy when he got to backstage. From what I've read and what I've heard from people, that he walked out of the arena before the match was even over. And
Oh, he walked out of the arena cussing up a storm.
yeah, that's
from
what I
what
heard.
I've heard.
What I've read. Yeah. Yep.
And then everybody's outraged about Jay winning the Rumble.
I don't know why.
Neither of us picked Jey Uso.
No, and that's one of those things. But too with the Rumble is we can pick our favorites. We can pick the guys that we know that might win it all and the big names. But Jay is starting to become one of those big names.
And he's over with the crowd right now.
And I watched the Pat McAfee thing today when he was on Pat McAfee's show, how the Yeet movement became what it was. And it was cool that his dad called him, which, if you guys don't know, is Rikishi. And he said that, his dad was in tears, that he had won the Royal Rumble. So I don't know which way Jay's going to go, because he said on Pat's show, he's like, I don't care which one it is, but I'm walking out of WrestleMania with a belt. So I don't know which guy. Most likely it's going to be Gunther, but I don't know how that's going to.
Yeah, because they want to do Cena versus Cody.
Okay.
That leads me into the brutal match between KO and Cody.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen a ladder match that brutal.
Well, I was watching video today on YouTube too. I've been watching Royal Rumble and Raw and all that stuff so that I was prepared for tonight. But they said that one of the spots where KO powerbombed Cody through a ladder, he was supposed to land on his back and landed on his right shoulder. And they were worried that it was his neck, because remember, he had just come back from an injured neck. So they were scared that they said at this point that Cody is okay. And then we'll get into you want to talk about biggest crybabies.
We'll get into Kevin Owens in a minute.
Yeah.
Because I have some choice words for him and somebody else that keeps trying to get into Sami Zayn's head.
That was a brutal match between
very brutal. Apparently, Cody's got multiple injuries and he is not medically cleared to wrestle. But apparently, he'll be at SmackDown Friday night to address the WWE fans. But now, let's, because he showed up on Raw, and so let's get to that. Leads us into the Raw review, and first of all, we're going to start. Karrion Kross, mind your own business. Stop trying to manipulate people. Like, it's getting old at this point. And then people have put out there, every person he talks to ends up turning heel.
Yeah. Yep.
Look at Chad Gable. Turned heel. He never talked to Braun Breaker. But and then he tells Sammy, "Oh, are you really gonna let all your friends have the spotlight and you just be mad?"
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Kross, I know what you're trying to do. You need to cut it out and stop."
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to lead to a match at some point down the road.
I agree.
But let's start with the opening segment with Seth. I just have one question. Why was he dressed like The Undertaker?
I was just going to ask that. Usually Seth comes out in like flamboyant colors and outfits that I don't think I would wear if someone paid me $1 million to wear them, but
Oh, same with me.
that's Seth Rollins, and that's your choice. And but anyway, he comes out looking like the glasses, the hat, the fedora, the dark jacket, and you're like, are you trying to like? You're not the Undertaker. You never even will be in the Undertaker's universe.
Are you
Let
trying
alone
to summon Mark Calloway?
could be.
That's what the vibes were giving me. It was like you're
Okay.
trying. Are you trying to? Because I know the Undertaker's retired,
Yes.
but I don't doubt that he wouldn't want to get in the ring for one more match if he wasn't. If he was pushed to.
I think, but it will all depend too on who the opponent is.
Maybe Seth.
It could be somebody like that. He's not going to just come back for anybody. It'll be somebody like Shawn Michaels, a Triple H, a Seth Rollins, a
One
CM
of the
Punk.
bigger people. What
Yes.
about AJ Styles? Would he do another match with AJ Styles, who just returned?
That's a possibility because AJ, I think Styles is on his way out. I know he's faked retirement before and came back. I think
He
I
pulled the
think
Mark
AJ,
Henry.
yeah, I think AJ is close to hanging his boot because AJ's been around for a long time. I mean, he would before he came to WWE, he was on the independent
TNA.
circuit, TNA. He had some dark thing where he was like his wife left him and he went into like suicide mode or whatever. I don't remember watching that on YouTube a long time ago, but when he came to WWE, it was nice to see him get over with the crowd as the phenomenal one. And but yeah, I think that would be
It would. Or maybe we finally get an actual match between him and Cena. Between Taker and Cena. Because you remember before Cena went off the last time, he kept calling out Undertaker.
Well, how about this? How about John's last match against the Undertaker? Make it a retirement match for both. Undertaker comes out of retirement for one match, and it's the retirement match for John Cena. That would be perfect way to send them both off. Well, Undertaker's already gone off to the sunset, but it would be, for Cena's
perfect way to send.
In-ring career. That would be. I think that would be an awesome way to send him out.
But back to Rockets. We got a little off course for a second, and then you see Punk. So I know we're going. Okay, first of all, the New Day, their new theme music. Oh my!
I haven't heard it yet, but so I'll have to go look at the video when we're done with the show.
It is brutal.
Okay, I haven't heard it yet, so I'll take a look after the show.
I wish we could pull it up, but we'll get copyrighted again.
Yep.
It is. I just wanted to. You know what's bad when I say I just wanted to mute the TV. That's how bad it was. And then to top it all off, Logan Paul interfered in their match, which he had no business. He had absolutely no business doing that. I don't care that Raw was in his hometown of Cleveland, which I love the fans booing him. And the fact that he actually thought he was going to win the Rumble.
Yeah, he was in the final three.
Too bad, so sad. But, okay, so, and then you get to the American Made. It has a backstage segment with the War Raiders. And the War Raiders are saying how they respect JD McDonough for all the still going through the match injured, their tag team title match. And then, of course, Chad Gable opens his little trap and says, "Oh, well, I go away. These boys are going to be going after your tag team titles." And he kind of points to the Creeds, and then he says Ivy Nile's going to go after the Intercontinental Championship. I'm sorry, but the Creeds need to be nowhere near the tag team titles. I can't take either of them serious. And I can't take Ivy Nile serious either.
Also, too, Chad Gable suffered an injury in the Rumble. Rey Mysterio landed on his legs. I don't know if you saw that replay.
Mm-hmm.
He landed awkwardly on his legs, and Chad Gable, played it off in the beginning. But as the match went on, you could see that he was having all kinds of trouble hitting
Oh,
bumps.
you know what? Let for a second, let's go back to the Rumble. I show speed.
Yeah, that was an interesting take with Triple H. Hey, you're in, buddy. Go. And he's like, what? No, go, man. Just go. And he's like,
And he gets absolutely
yeah,
decapitated by Braun Breaker.
Braun Breaker's like, oh, good to see you again, buddy. Bam, you're out. See you. Have a nice day.
Poor I show speed.
Yeah, Braun Breaker may have broken him in half. No,
I think he did because I saw he went live on I think either Twitch or YouTube after, and he could barely talk.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Braun Breaker broke him in half with that spear. Yep. I show speed. What did we learn from that?
Stay out of the ring.
Yeah. Braun Breaker ain't no.
Not somebody you want to mess with.
Nope. And so back to Raw. We had Penta and Ludwig Kaiser. And Ludwig Kaiser was trying to do the thing you don't do to luchadors.
Take the mask off.
Ludwig, you're going to learn the hard way. You don't rip a luchador's mask off.
Nope.
Never ends well. And then, are we going to get something between Ludwig Kaiser and Pete Dunne?
Could be, because Dunne came out, and then Kaiser went after Penta after Dunne came out. But that's a possibility that those two have. I think they have bad blood between each other. I wouldn't be surprised if that's not like a mid-card match at Elimination Chamber or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either. Then you got CM Punk qualifying for Elimination Chamber. And this is where we're going to talk about Kevin Owens. I know we've already talked about him once. Why are you on Raw? And why are you package pile driving Sami Zayn?
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know the whole, because he wanted Sammy to help him in the Cody Rhodes match at Royal Rumble. Sammy came out to see both of them when they were both. Again, Alec and me just agreed that match was brutal. Both of them took a beating in that match. So I'm sure both of them will be on the shelf for a little while. But yeah, I don't know why you come back and do that to your friend. I mean, maybe he took the advice.
See, the problem is he's turned on Sammy so many times. They say they're best friends in WWE. I don't believe it. Because if you look at all the times that Kevin has turned his back on Sammy, he turned his back on Sammy when Sammy went back to the bloodline for the second time. You know what? And somebody put it out there today that this may be setting up for a match at Elimination Chamber. And you have Randy return there and cost Kevin the match to set up their match for WrestleMania.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Because Randy's not really injured. This is part of the storyline he's in with Kevin. I'm pretty sure. How they have him sell the package pile driver. But Kevin, I'm going to say this, when Kevin Owens does come back, he needs to be nowhere near the title. You need to keep him away from the title. He should be put back in a mid card until after the Chamber. Because I think both of us know who's probably winning the Chamber match.
Probably John Cena, I would imagine.
It ain't going to be, I'm sorry for you CM Punk fans, I don't think it's going to be CM Punk. Cena lost the Rumble. I think Cena is going to win the Chamber. But I read something today, and we can get back to Raw in a second. But I read something today about how there's two storylines going on for Cena. One is he hasn't won a match since 2017. And they're using that as a storyline to maybe that he's losing motivation for wrestling until he wins a match. And then his second one is obviously winning the storyline of winning number 17.
I'd rather see the storyline of number 17.
I would too.
Like
and Joe Hendry put out a little tweet the other day saying that he's invited Cena to TNA. I wouldn't mind that match. Cena versus Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
For the TNA World title.
Yep.
Money. It'll make a lot of, that match would make a lot of money.
Yep.
So then we get to, and then NXT had a big showing in the Women's Rumble.
They did, yes, they did.
Roxanne Perez, Julius, Stephanie Vicaire, Jada Parker, Lash Legend. And I thought all the NXT people did pretty good.
I did too. I was surprised, Bud, that we didn't see Obi Femi and
Oba
or
Femi
Trick
in the men's Rumble.
Yeah,
I was
Rumble.
too.
I would have thought that they would have brought those two.
The funniest thing happened during the men's Rumble. You know who got Santino Marella? Carmelo Hayes.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And if y'all don't know what Santino Marella is when you get in the Rumble and you get eliminated less than 10 seconds.
Correct.
Just look up Santino. We can't show the clip of Santino Marella going in the Rumble and getting eliminated in under 10 seconds. Just go look it up on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the first time somebody in the men's Rumble's gotten eliminated that quick. There's been a few, and then you had R-Truth in the women's Rumble at one point. And you know who had a good showing in the women's Rumble? Nia.
Yeah, she eliminated what? 4 or 5 there at the end.
In a row.
Yeah, Bianca Belair, Dakota Kai, I think was one of them. I forget the other ones that were all in that group that she eliminated there at the end. Because Charlotte Flair eliminated Nia, correct? Isn't that what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Roxanne and Nia.
That's right. Roxanne and Nia. That's right.
Which I wouldn't have been upset with Roxanne winning.
Yeah.
And apparently Charlotte's going to be on NXT tonight.
Yeah, I was watching the highlights. She got in the ring with
Rhea
Ripley on the end of Raw and said, well, I'm going to go to SmackDown. I'm going to go to NXT tonight and see if the NXT champion. is the
Well, it
one
was
that
said last night, but obviously tonight.
yeah, inspires me. Or I'm going to go to SmackDown and see if Tiffany Stratton inspires me. And Rhea
I
said,
would
"Oh,
love to see Tiffy versus Charlotte.
Charlotte Flair." Um,
But
but I
people are
think
saying, oh, if that happens, that's a wrap for Tiffany's title run.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Tiffy, obviously she's a heel. I think she's a face now, and I think Charlotte's going to be the heel. I really do. I think that's the way they're going
Charlotte,
to.
I'll say this. I know we neither of us like Charlotte, but she does play a really good heel.
She does. It fits her well. It fits her very well. Yep.
Now we get to the Judgment Day. And I guess he finally decides to show up for work.
Dominic,
Nope.
Finn.
Yep, he's been gone for a couple weeks. I sense a turn coming from Dominic and Liv at some point. Because I have very credible sources within that group that have told me that Dominic and Liv are just using the Judgment Day to show them that they're not actually as good as they think.
Okay.
Can't say the sources, but Finn, I wouldn't be surprised if when this happens, we get a match, Finn and Dominic going against each other, because it seems like those are the two that have a real issue with each other, as we've seen. Finn likes to blame Dominic for everything.
Do you think, Bud, that Finn would use the demon persona in that match? We haven't seen that in a while. And I watched a YouTube clip today about that both times that he's used it recently, he's lost. So
Maybe.
I don't know if that's something
That was under those two losses he had as the demon were when Vince was
correct. It was to Cena, and I forget the other opponent they said that he lost to. I don't remember the other one. I know John
Edge.
Cena was.
It might have been Edge.
I think that's who it was. I think you're right.
It was Edge at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
In the Hell in a Cell match.
Yeah, so it was Edge and John Cena that he lost to as the demon persona, his alter ego or whatever he calls that character.
I like the persona, but he needs to use it more for more people to get behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so that was Raw. What happened on NXT? I know we saw Javon Evans come back and cost Ethan Page. I'm pretty sure he cost Ethan Page's match.
He did.
And then I guess now we're getting is it Fatal 4-Way at Vengeance Day between Trick, Oba, I want to say Eddie. No, not Eddie Thorpe. Trick, Oba, and I think there's one or two other people that are going to be in that match.
Let me look here, bud, and see. Is it Wesley?
Yes.
Wesley. Okay, Trick, Obi, and Tony D'Angelo? Am I getting that wrong?
That sounds right. Now, I'm sorry. I got to say something. I'm sorry. Wesley has no business being near the NXT title. I still haven't forgiven him for what he did to the Rascals. Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel. I still have not forgiven him for that. He pulled a New Day.
Oh, okay. So he turned his back on his teammates.
Yep. And he tried to sideline in both of their careers. So I don't have respect for people like that. Look at the New Day. I used to love the New Day. Now I don't. And then you had what else went down? I'll let you do the review of NXT.
It looks like, Bud, it started off with women's tag team titles, Bianca Belair and Naomi against the Meta Girls for the championship. That was that thing.
Jakara Jackson and Lash.
It mentioned Bailey would team up with women's champion
Julia
to take on former champion Roxanne Perez and her partner Cora Jade.
Oh, those sneaky heels.
It says then A-Town Down
under
the Grayson. I'm sorry, A-Town Down under it was on the Grayson Waller effect. So that was
I did see that clip on YouTube and TikTok. There's a reason I'm laughing.
I'll have to go watch it now that you're laughing because I'm gonna have to go take a look at it now. I haven't seen it. Well, Grayson Waller, number one, is I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
He's a little out there.
Yeah. I would wholeheartedly agree with that one, but yeah,
with his Australian accent.
Yeah, he.
I'll just say this. I don't want to really spoil it, but the crowd, in Theory's a heel, and normally heels don't get the response that Theory was getting. He was getting massively cheered.
Could be a baby face.
Well, take into account NXT was in Atlanta last week, and that's where Theory's from.
His hometown. Yeah, his hometown.
And they were basically, you know what? Screw it. I'll spoil it. They were basically saying to him, turn on Waller.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's not what he's going to do.
And he literally got up, and Waller's like, don't turn your back on me. And he turned his back on him. And I wanted to say, almost walked out of the ring. Sorry, Grayson. I think Triple H. I know that's Shawn Michaels that runs NXT, but that was the spot right there to do the face turn for Austin Theory. He was in his hometown. He was getting cheered. Come on, Triple H. Pull the trigger. Why are you going to make us wait? We've waited long enough. When is this face turn for Austin Theory coming? Because as people like to say on social media, it's going to feed families for generations.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, but I agree. Because obviously, like you said, and I'll have to go back and watch the clip. And I know, again, we know that Theory is from Atlanta, Georgia. That's his hometown. And even as a heel, like when Punk goes back to Chicago or Michaels goes back to Texas, they get the bump because that's where they're from. That's their hometown, their home state. You know, even Rock, even if he was a heel, if he went to Miami, he's going to get a loud boo. I mean, he played college football for the Hurricanes, won a national championship with them, so he's going to get the crowd on his side anyway for that reason anyway. So yeah.
Yeah, and then was that a wrap for NXT?
Yeah, well, you had Fallon Henley against Shotzi. She won. Henley won. Wins by pinfall with Hoedown retaining her NXT Women's North American Championship. You had Cedric Alexander versus All Ego Ethan Page. Page
That's when Javon Evans came back and cost him the match.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I'm reading my notes, but yeah, that's what it says there.
And you know what? When Javon Evans first came to NXT, I didn't really like his theme. It's growing on me.
And then
that's another one you need to look up after you watch the clip of Austin Theory getting cheered in Atlanta. And then, so now we get over to Dynamite, AEW.
Right.
And right off rip, we're going to talk about poor Jeff Jarrett. We knew, both of us, and we mentioned it a couple times, we knew it was going to be an uphill battle, him against Claudio. Because, of course, wherever anybody on the Death Riders goes, you always know Jon Moxley is lurking right in the background. And sure enough, you had Moxley come out, you had Pac come out, you had Marina Shafir, Wheeler Yuta. This is the same storyline they did with Darby Allin before. Obviously, we know he's off TV now because he is this is the same storyline they were doing with Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
But instead of it being he can't win the title, it was he wasn't a leader for AEW.
Okay.
And they had to get somebody that was one of his really, really good friends that is now a producer for AEW, Chuck Taylor, who Jon Moxley ended up hurting him enough to where he had to retire. And that's the same thing. I kind of think that's the same storyline they're doing with Jeff Jarrett. Minus the whole leader thing is Jeff Jarrett is a leader. He is the most. How do you say this? He's the most likable guy in AEW. I don't care what MJF thinks about him. I don't care what anybody else thinks about him. And we'll get to MJF in a minute because that's a whole nother story.
Right.
But AEW started with, what was the opening? I forgot what the opening segment was. You have the notes.
Opening segment, Bud, was, it says, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I got this wrong, I apologize because I had notes from other. Did it start with Mercedes Moné putting her TBS championship on the line, or is that too far back? Is that too far back? It does say Jeff Jarrett. Okay, then maybe I have it right. I just want to make sure I'm not reading something.
What was the Jeff Jarrett segment?
Against Claudio.
Yep, that was last week.
Castagnoli,
yes.
if I'm
Castagnoli.
Okay, cool. Okay, then I'm right then. Okay,
that was. I'm gonna say this.
Yeah,
that was an okay match. That was an okay match, in my opinion. I give it like a 4 out of 10.
Okay.
The segment after it was. What was the segment after it? I probably need to start.
Was it the Ospreay match? Will Ospreay against Brian Cage? Was that the next thing that was involved? Because that's what. Okay.
And that was.
It looks like that match was interesting to say the least too, because the Callis family attacked Ospreay after the bell and Kenny Omega. Both of them were attacked by the Callis family, according to my notes.
Yes, and then Kenny came. Kenny came out after the match and saved Will. I'm sorry. I don't care for the I don't care for the Callis family. I don't. Personally, I feel like to use a faction in WWE. They're like they're the Judgment Day of AEW. And Don Callis is the biggest suck up in the world.
I agree with you.
Because all he does on commentary is just pumps up his guys, which I mean, I understand you have to do that. But it feels like he never talks about anything except for his guys. Like he never talks about how he turned against Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have we're going to kind of move around on AEW too. We have Chris Jericho in the Learning Tree doing the whole New York, whatever it was, New York Minute.
Something like that. But yeah, let me scan down here real quick and see if I can find that. Yeah, like yes, correct.
And basically, Big Bill talked about how he beat Will Hobbs and injured Will Hobbs, but then we heard from Will Hobbs later on that the only reason he's wasn't there last week was because he was told not to show up because he wasn't medically.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Jericho is another one. Don't get me wrong, I liked him in his earlier days in WWE. And I wouldn't mind him coming back for one more mini, like short run. But he needs to stop wrestling. He is not. And it's been proven in AEW. Even when he first started there, he doesn't have it in the ring anymore.
No, I think actually, and no offense, but I think he's a better singer than he is a wrestler. I got to see him in concert. His band in concert. The band is good. He's a good lead singer, but I think this part of his life, if he's still willing to make music and travel, hit the road, whatever, I would stick to that because he's lost a lot of his speed in the ring because that was always his thing. Was he was quick, he was agile. He's lost all of that to me from what I've seen recently of him.
No, I couldn't agree more.
No offense to him because he was one of the best. He was the first to win both titles in the WWE in the same night, beat The Rock and Stone Cold in the same night. I mean, not too many people can say that in their lifetime. Those two legends alone. But yeah, I think he's lost a lot of it. But I'm sure that, Tony Khan's paying him a lot of money. So he's going to hang around as long as he can go.
Tony Khan's probably paying him a lot of pesos.
Because he's the Ring of Honor heavyweight champion, right? ROH, right?
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So until somebody beats him, which he's another one that's got a faction that no matter what you do, they always win. Like it's always like that all the time. So
yeah. I don't care for Big Bill. The only one I like in that faction is Brian. I think his name is Brian Keith, the Bad Apple.
Okay.
He's the only one in Jericho's faction I like. I don't care for Big Bill because of what he did to Enzo Amore when they were in WWE. Which I saw a clip where apparently they were reunited, I guess, for one night only at like an indie show. But anyway, moving forward with the AEW review, then you get, I think it was Swerve Strickland. No, it was Ricochet versus AR Fox. And the caveat was if Swerve
that was mentioned, but yeah, that was mentioned in my.
And if Swerve got involved, his match with Ricochet, which is this week, was off the table.
Right.
Ricochet
Correct.
has
Yep.
Ricochet has gone off the deep end. Really way
No, I
off the
agree.
deep end.
Yeah, I agree. He did end up beating Fox via pitfall, but yeah,
He's
he looks like he's facing Swerve
next
um
week. This week,
next
actually. Tomorrow night.
this week. Tomorrow night, yeah, tomorrow night. I think he's that's the next match. I guess that storyline is continuing from what my notes say that's continuing. That storyline
This
will continue tomorrow night.
Yep. Which, ladies and gentlemen, just a little update on that. We were supposed to have a watch along for AEW tomorrow night. It has been moved to next Wednesday
Mm-hmm.
because Bradley had a prior
Engagement.
engagement that he has
Yeah.
to attend to. So we have
Yep.
decided as a collective to move it to next Wednesday. But you will
Yeah.
still get a Dynamite review Thursday night at 5:30.
Yeah, I would have been only able to be with you guys for about an hour or 50 minutes. I would have to get off. I don't want to do that to Alec. It's not fair to him, and it'd be nice to watch the full 2 hours. So next week, I'm able to do that next week. So that'll be good.
Yep. And you get both of our full reactions
As
next
at,
week for AEW.
at live, going live. So, and me and Alec did a play-by-play for a college football game. And training was a lot of fun to watch the game with him and get his analysis and stuff like that. So, looking forward to that.
And we will be doing more of those and when the season comes around this year. But
And
back to
go ahead.
this, and maybe you'll catch us doing a play-by-play for some baseball games for the Rays when they're on the road this year.
Works for me.
Me too. But so, and then after that segment, I think what's next on your notes for AEW?
After that, you had Jay White and Wheeler Yuta in a match. Those are the matches that's going down.
I think Jay White beat him, right? Or did Wheeler Yuta win?
No, White beat Yuta by pitfall. Nope, it was White.
You know what? And I'm gonna say this, and I was the biggest Jay White hater for the last 2 years. All of a sudden now it's how do I say this? I've done a full 180. Now I am the biggest Jay White fan you'll see on YouTube. Other than obviously the people that have watched him in New Japan and whatever other promotions he was in before AEW. But yes, I am the biggest Jay White fan now. And I'm also a fan of the group he's in, the Bang Bang Gang.
Mm-hmm.
I used to not like them too, but there's always time to change around your perspective on people. And Jay White's one of the people that my perspective has been changed on. Now, I can't say the same thing for Mr. Maxwell Jacob Freeman. MJF. I swear his promos every week get worse and worse. Every other word out of his mouth is a cuss word. And I don't know how he gets away with it. Because if it's anybody else in AEW, they get fined or suspended.
I was just reading, but as I was going through my notes, that people think that his promos are starting to become stale because, like you said, it's the same thing every week. Like he's not doing anything new. Cussing, it's the same stuff every week. So people are starting to get stale, according to what I just saw and read online. So yeah,
I'm not surprised, to be honest. I'm really not. And he had a match, I think, or it was just a promo segment. From what your notes say, am
yeah,
I correct?
it was. You're right, buddy. Like you said, I, I don't. It's weird, and basically all of the AEW, New Japan, WWE, a lot of them. There are certain superstars that get away with things that others do not, and it's weird how that happens. That certain ones have a lot of clout and can get away with everything, but if someone else does it, they get fined and suspended. So
Mm-hmm.
think it back to MJF. I'm putting that like Charlotte Flair. She can do whatever she wants. She's not going to get fined or suspended. And if she does, then she complains about it on social media. But again, back to MJF
Or Seth
or Seth. There's another one. Yes,
or Punk.
They're in a way they're in a club that they're protected. Like they're not going to fire them. They're not going to fine them. But if a mid card guy did that, you're fined or you're suspended. But the
Same thing with like AEW. If a mid card guy does it in AEW, say you're fine, you're suspended, or if it's bad enough, you're fired.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, back to MJF. He's a nutcase.
Yes. He's another one, like you said, like Ricochet. He's gone way, way off the reservation. Yep.
Yeah. And the thing with Ricochet is, okay, I like his heel character, but dude, what is it with you and scissors, Ricochet? Why do you need scissors?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is a lethal weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you need scissors? What is your intention for having scissors? Like, explain. Tell me what the reason is for needing scissors. Like,
if you're watching the show, Ricochet, why don't you come on and explain that to both of us? We'd love to have you come on here.
Please. And MJF, I know we dog on you too, but we'd love to have you on the show.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To the people that watch, please, in the comments, mention Ricochet, MJF, and my boy Samoa Joe.
I would love to hear Samoa Joe.
I would too, and maybe even Hook.
Yeah,
and maybe you could bring Taz on.
Oh, there's another one.
You know what? I like the commentary team they have for AEW. Taz, Tony Schiavone, Excalibur.
I'm a WCW guy. I love Tony Schiavone. I mean, Tony was the guy that called all the WCW stuff. So yeah, I love Tony Schiavone a lot. Yeah.
Well, didn't Taz too?
Yes, Taz at one time. I mean, Taz. I remember Taz, but more from the WWE or WWF. Him calling that, but Taz. I watched Maven, the guy that won Tough Enough, the first Tough Enough season, and one of his first matches was against Taz, and he said that he what they call a paycheck. If you guys know what a paycheck is in wrestling, that's when you hit somebody not the right way and they pay you back immediately. And he got one from Taz. Maven hit him with a full fist, and Taz went to the ground. He goes, paycheck, and he hit him right back. So anyway, Taz has always been a good commentator. There's a lot of them that are good, but yes, I agree with you. But I think the AEW team is very good. They have a very good commentating crew.
So it's not to get off. Well, we're kind of done with AEW, but in between talking about SmackDown, we could talk about all the announced teams for WWE and AEW. So anyway, let's start with WWE first. I love Michael Cole and Pat McAfee.
Yes, I agree.
You know what? I was there when Michael Cole was commentating for WWE in 2018, 2019, when WWE was just unbearable to watch on Mondays and Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was Vince. He was doing the same matches over and over and over again. And he was telling and I watched a video on it. He would tell Vince would tell Michael Cole what to say. And I'm glad Vince is gone because now Michael Cole can just be Michael Cole.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best work Michael Cole has done as an announcer. And I mean, you would know that too because he was around when WCW was around.
And if you guys watch the Rumble, he lost his voice because near the end when Jay won, he had no voice left. I mean, Michael Cole had no voice left at all. Zero. So, yeah.
So Monday Night Raw is good. SmackDown with Barrett and Joe Tessitore.
I know
it's gonna take a while for me to get used to them.
Well, I know Tessitore more for calling college football than I know
Same here.
Wrestling. He's a great college football announcer, one of the best in the business. But you're right. But Wade Barrett, he's another guy that, he's like Taz. He's a great color guy, been in the business, knows how it all plays out. So I do, but again, I agree with you, but I think it's going to take some time to get used to those two calling SmackDown or announcing SmackDown in a way.
And then we get to NXT, and that's the only 3-man booth we have with Booker T, Corey Graves, and Vic Joseph. I love Booker T as an announcer. He is so when he's calling a match, there's differences you can tell between like Joe Tessitore, Michael Cole, Pat McAfee when they're calling matches. Booker just has that charisma when he's calling a match. And when he does Trick's entrance, look up Booker T doing Trick Williams entrance, like singing the entrance. Like Trick is the most over person in NXT. Other than probably Javon Evans. But I used to not watch NXT at all. Now I try to watch it all the time. And Corey Graves was just sent down there. He was back last week. So I guess whatever issue he had was
resolved.
Mm-hmm. Now we get to SmackDown. What's going on with Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu? Are they trying to get the tag titles back?
I believe they are.
Somebody mentioned that there's an infamous person returning soon.
In Solo Sikoa?
No. Nope. Somebody that is over with the crowd because of his thing that he does, the yee Tongaloa.
Oh, the other. Oh, okay. Okay.
The other Tongan.
Okay.
Which all three of them are off as we've said numerous times, all three of them are a little bit out there.
They need to spend some time in the insane asylum. Yeah, all three of them.
Or in a really, really cold tub.
Yeah, true.
Well, and then you still got the other Fatu brother out there, Zilla, which who knows when he's going to come to WWE.
And speaking of Jacob Fatu, did a very good job in the Rumble.
Yes.
So we both have said that I think in the future he is going to have a belt. I don't know which one it's going to be, but
I'm thinking it's going to be the U.S. title.
You think it's going to be Shinsuke? He's going to face Shinsuke Nakamura?
Well, and here's what I've seen is, oh no, that's Raw. Intercontinental title with Braun Breaker.
That would
They've
be an
been
excellent
teasing a match between Braun Breaker, Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser, Pete
Okay.
Dunne, and somebody else to get like a ladder match. So Sheamus wins it, but it's a big moment because they did the same thing for Zack Ryder a couple years back at Mania. But I do think Jacob Fatu is going to win a title, and I'm calling it now. I'm making a crystal ball bold prediction into the future. I think we see Jacob Fatu and the Tongans turn on Solo at some point.
Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. I agree with that.
Real quick. But then my thing is, what is Solo going to do after that happens? Is he going to weasel his way back to Roman?
That's a good
and
question.
will Roman accept him? Because he said he will acknowledge Roman as a tribal chief if he loses to Roman. Hey, Solo, where you at? You still owe Roman an acknowledgement.
The last time we saw Solo on TV, he was booed.
He was booed out of the building.
He got the New Day treatment. And then Fatu went and told everyone to shut up, stop disrespecting Solo. But yeah,
a whole bunch of blabbery.
I have a funny feeling that you're right. I think the Tongans and Fatu both turn on him. And I don't know. I mean,
maybe The Rock is.
Yeah, there you go, boy. That's
the wild card.
Because I have a funny feeling, and I know everyone wants Roman to face Cody in a rematch and all that stuff, but there's going to be a match with The Rock and Roman. That's coming, and I don't know if it's this WrestleMania, this April, or if it's in the future, say at SummerSlam. It's going to happen at one of the pay-per-views this year. It's going to happen. I just don't know which way they're going to throw it out there. So that could be The Rock takes Solo spot, takes Fatu and the Tongans as the new bloodline with Roman, Jay, and Jimmy and Sammy.
Or you know what? And nobody's thought of this. What about if the Tongans and Jacob turn on Solo? And then that's when you have Zilla debut and he joins Jacob Fatu and the Tongans.
That would be Fatu could be the new Solo. He could be the new tribal chief.
And you know what? I think that here with that, he would have a lot more credibility than Solo did.
I agree. And again,
because from the one time we've seen him talk on the mic,
he's not that bad.
No, he's not as bad as Solo. And Solo's only got one or two lines he uses.
Well, think of this too. Roman wasn't so great on the mic either. It took Roman Reigns a long. He was made fun of by Punk, Cena.
He got schooled by Cena.
All those guys made fun of Roman.
He got schooled by Cena on the mic.
And
if you remember that promo exactly,
yeah, Roman got better, and Solo
once he turned. Hold up. He got better once he turned heel.
Yes, correct.
Maybe Solo turns heel. Well, I mean, Solo kind of already is a heel.
I was gonna say he's already a heel already, and I can't see Solo being a face. I don't know who his heel. Well, the heels would be Fatu. That would be his heel. Fatu would be the heel to the face equation if Solo does it, or Fatu is the face, and Solo
with the Tongans,
and Solo stays the heel. Yeah, yep.
But Solo would still get the New Day treatment and get booed out of the building.
Well, he can join Kofi and Xavier Woods if he wants to, and they can all get booed at the same time. So there you go.
And the Judgment Day.
Yeah,
because we don't care for the Judgment Day because of what they do to everybody. They injure people. But back to SmackDown, anyways. So SmackDown overall, I thought was good last week.
It was prior to the Royal Rumble.
And I mean, what do we think happens this week on SmackDown?
Well, you have there's going to be matches for
the elimination.
Chamber. Liv Morgan won, so she's in. CM Punk
well, yeah, we really didn't talk about that. She won only because she attacked Io backstage.
And then
that's the only reason she won her match.
Attacked Rhea, and then Rhea ended up costing Io Sky her shot because the match was then.
You know what? I think we're gonna get. I have a sneaky feeling because you know who didn't show up at the Rumble? Becky Lynch.
She did not. You are correct. She was one. See, let's go back to that. Would you have rather have seen Becky in 30 and nothing against Nikki Bella, but Becky in that spot? Or here's my question, because I read this after they announced Alexa Bliss came out. There was supposed to be another star in that spot that didn't show. I'm wondering if 21 was supposed to be Becky Lynch and she didn't show, and they got Alexa Bliss to come back. So I don't know. That's just me. It's a thought. It could be a far.
No, you know, I didn't think about that. Maybe it was Becky.
Yeah, and Becky didn't show, and they had to put Alexa.
Maybe they're holding off Becky's return for maybe Elimination Chamber.
It's a possibility.
Even though it's in Canada.
And we all know, too, the Elimination Chamber matches are hardcore. Yeah, that's a match that
brutal
with the cage. You know, you can't get out.
It changes your career.
You can't get out until you get pinned. So, yeah.
And there's some crazy spots in the Elimination Chamber, too.
Correct.
Just ask, was it Logan Paul a couple years ago in the chamber that he got caught on top of the pod and he got either speared or RKO'd to oblivion?
I think it was an RKO that he ended up suffering in that.
From Randy Orton, of all people.
Randy Orton got it. Yeah, because, again, as we all know, he's not well liked amongst the wrestling community.
No, he's not. Him or his brother, for that matter.
We all know that him and his brother got all their following from YouTube. They are big YouTube stars. His brother is
talking about wanting to come to WWE after he's done wrestling. But
I mean,
boxing,
he's an okay boxer, but he hasn't faced anybody that. I mean,
and apparently now they're talking about him and his brother boxing each other, which
wouldn't be surprising, honestly. That wouldn't be a surprise if they did something like that. I wouldn't be. But then again, he's not facing anybody that. I mean, he faced Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson's way past his prime. He wouldn't have faced
and then
Mike
now
Tyson
apparently McGregor's agreed to a boxing match with him in India later this year.
Oh, yeah. Conor McGregor got his butt kicked by Floyd Mayweather, so I don't know if he wants to get in the ring with another, so-called boxer, because Conor's more of an MMA fighter, but it's money.
And McGregor's another one that's talked about coming to WWE, which at first I'm like, no, you're not going to survive.
It would be okay. Conor would be a good heel, if anything. He would be a good heel.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? There's so many dream matches for McGregor, too, if he came to WWE.
Because
McIntyre, Rollins, Punk. Obafemi,
Oh yeah, he would fit
Braun
well with
Breaker.
a lot of guys. Yep.
Could you imagine him in a match with Braun Breaker?
Oh boy.
That is two. I'm not going to say 18 wheelers. But that's two Mack trucks coming head on at each other.
Correct, Amundo. Correct.
Or him and Jacob Fatu.
Oh, well, seeing Braun Strowman and
Jacob Fatu.
oh, dude,
that's a car wreck. That was a car wreck.
That's a slow motion car accident with those two. And imagine Fatu and Braun Breaker. Imagine that match, or Strowman and Braun Breaker. That I don't know, dude. That'd be matches of the year. I don't with those two combinations. That has to be match of the year. Those two.
Yeah,
that would be amazing to see those two mix it up with each other. But yeah,
it would. But I think that's going to wrap it up. Again, we are part of the NGSC Sports Network, ngscsports.com. For Bradley and Alec, we will see everybody on Thursday night at 5:30 for AEW Dynamite review. And also remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future podcast uploads. In the case of our college football podcast, us going to the Oklahoma-Michigan game in 2026, which we just announced last week on our final 2024 episode of the college football podcast. And maybe down the road, we'll go to a WWE event and stream it.
That would be cool too. I've never been to one. I've never been to a live WWE event, so I would love to do that. That would be definitely something.
Maybe because in 2027, we're going to make the announcement right now. 2026, we're going to Ann Arbor. 2027, we're going to, and Bradley doesn't know this because I haven't told him. 2027, we will be going to Oxford, Mississippi.
Okay. Not far from me. Okay.
Nope. But that's going to wrap up the Wrestling is Awesome podcast. We will see everybody Thursday.
Have a good night, guys.